Japanese watchmaking is more than just Grand Seiko, Casio and Citizen. In fact, some of Japan's best watches are handmade by just one man in a small workshop. And today, you will find out his name. Japan controls roughly 37% of the entire global export market for watch movements. They gave us brands we all love and grew up with, like Casio, Seiko, Citizen. And when it comes to the high-end and big brands, you have Grand Seiko and Credor. The Japanese watch collector scene always had a strong interest in and understanding about quality independent watchmaking. When Philippe IV created his iconic Simplicity model, roughly 50% of the models were sold directly to Japan. In the last few years, we've seen a lot of new faces in the independent watchmaking scene coming out of Japan. The rise of people like Naoya Hida, Kikuchi Nakagawa, Jiro Katayama, Masahiro Kikuno, Daiso Makihara, Masaharu Nakajima, and of course, the master himself, Hajime Asaoka. Two other honorable mentions are the latest winner of the FP Journe Young Talent Award 2026, Shin Ono. He won with a beautiful clock featuring a Grande Petit Sonnerie, quarter repeater and a tourbillon, making everything from scratch to the final working piece, which is beyond remarkable. I hope to meet you one day. My experience from buying watches from Japan has been great, but you need to be patient. It's fun to discover a watchmaker who is still under the radar, which is difficult today. Currently, I own 4 different watches from Japanese creators, and I love the diversity between them. I had the pleasure to acquire some early pieces from Hidaka Shinichi, one featuring a sector dial and red accents, a more utilitarian look, and the other one is definitely more elegant, featuring a cow horn lugs case, manual winding movement, and a beautiful aventurine dial. Above all, a gorgeous hour and minute hand. The third one, and one that's been with me since late 2022, my Otsuka Lotec No. 6 by Jiro Katayama. With a fun and rare meteorite dial, it's a watch that many people love, want to buy, and ask me about it. I had the pleasure of being an early adopter of the brand back when he was only making approximately 82 watches per year. And I love to see him prosper, grow, and create and make so many people across the world happy with his creations. And now for the fourth one, and the smallest production watch I currently own in my personal collection. My latest acquisition is from a third-generation watchmaker, working and living in Tabuse, a small town in the Yamaguchi prefecture in western Japan. His name is Kenkichi Kumada. I have discovered this watch a few years ago, in December 2023, on the Instagram page of Chris, aka Jenfulen. I immediately messaged him to ask what this watch is all about. I then checked out the profile of Interimlambwatch. It looked like someone has been making very industrial looking watches by himself. After I sent the email to Mr. Kumada, I finally received an answer by the end of January 2024 saying that I could order one, but that his order book is full for the year, so my allocation fell into late 2025, which I didn't mind. Finally, my time came, in November 2025, so almost 2 years later. I was excited, guys. And so it began. I've sent him the desired dial layout for my jump hour, I chose the case I wanted, and we were off to the races. But before we go into my watch, I want to tell you more about Mr. Kumada. He's a very interesting person, living far away from the neon lights and busy traffic of Tokyo. Tabuse, the town where he was born and still lives, is approximately 900 kilometers away from Tokyo, a peaceful small town with a population of approximately 14,000 inhabitants. In comparison, Tokyo Center has approximately 14.2 million. His grandfather and father were already in the watch trade, repairing and selling watches, so it was in Mr. Kumada's blood to start working with watches sooner than later. His earliest memory as a child was the smell of kerosene used to clean the mainsprings of pendulum clocks. And in his 20s, his father taught him the basic workings of mechanical watches, how to disassemble and assemble them, as well as how to use different watchmaking tools, skills which he still applies today in his small atelier. He waited until he was 40 years old to start thinking about making his own watches, and before that, he worked in different industries. As a self-taught watchmaker, he used what his father taught him, also the internet, books, and a can-do attitude to approach watchmaking. Something I felt while we were discussing my watch, because although some elements were hard to execute and he's never done them before, he was willing to try and took it as a challenge. He found inspiration in Breguet, particularly the subscription model, and his focus has always been simplicity in mechanics and design. The name Interimlambwatch came from his love for electronic and techno music. There's a German song called Einstürzen der Neubauten, the Interimlambwatch, which he loves to listen to. He was attracted to the feeling of not belonging to any particular point in time, place or concept, something which appealed to him, abandoning all conventional marketing ideas and focusing only on the craft. Once it was my turn to decide on the design of my watch, Mr. Kumada was very proactive, offering ideas, suggesting materials, and trying to figure out with me how to approach it. In the end, I really wanted just a simple design with some special elements, not a bunch of colors. The jump hour mechanics was something he taught himself through trial and error, so I wanted to create a strong contrast between the base plate and the components hovering above it. So I decided on an all-silver components look. I created a Photoshop file, a nice picture, and sent him my wishes. On the picture you can clearly see what I have marked and what has been applied to the design afterwards. A dark grey base plate, black polished spring and levers, as well as fire-heated purple elements for some screws and the hands. What I also wanted is to close the case back, something he has also never done before. I just wanted a little bit of movement on the back, so I asked him for a balance wheel porthole, which he was excited to actually do. Later on, he told me that this was one of the most challenging parts to create, because the tolerances are extremely small, but he made it work. I like the look of it a lot, and although the manual winding salita movement isn't ugly, it's just not something I needed to see or emphasize on. He even black polished the ring around the porthole, and as a true artist, you can see his name and brand name screwed only on the case back. I took the inspiration from this deep circular brushing from a Naoya Hida watch, which has a very pronounced finishing. I asked him why he didn't feature his name on the dial side of my watch, and he mentioned that it simply doesn't fit, and he didn't want to disturb the harmony of the jump hour mechanics. As you can see, he executed my wishes very accurately, even the flat mirror polished hand covers, and also matching the purple color on the hands and the two screws in the middle. One of the biggest challenges, and something I really wished he would be able to do, are the pointers of the hour and the minute hand. I always loved the Roger Smith and Kikuchi Nakagawa hands, the ones you see here. So I asked him if he could create his own version of them, and so he did. What I think is the centerpiece of my custom watch, the heat-treated purple airplane shaped tips, something which I always admired, and when I asked him how long they took him to make, he said that it was almost a whole week. Just incredible, guys. From machining the tiny collets that hold the hands, finishing and polishing work, and the assembly, he had to figure out the depth and the architecture of the tips. That's what I loved about this project a lot. It was a learning experience for both of us. We were in sync and both open to ideas, execution, and giving the project enough time to materialize. The jump hour mechanism works like a dream, with a sensual sweeping seconds hand, sweeping minute hand, and a jumping hour hand. When I turn the crown, you can see how quick and precise the hour jump, a very enjoyable and smooth click. The case is something I also liked a lot, similar to my Otsuka Lotec No. 6. The case feels very raw, industrial and intentional, with a round stepped case where you can see the milling lines as well, and the lugs, slim, polished and straight, like some sort of skinny legs holding the big body of the watch on the wrist. The diameter of only 39mm makes it sit on the wrist really well and comfortable. I love looking at the depth of the dial, and it's a very particular look. It attracts many people to ask me about the watch. Mr. Kumada doesn't rely on suppliers or any big CNC machines. He works alone, in his Tabuse workshop, creating one watch after the other, using traditional watchmaking techniques, inventing new techniques, and with the help of his trusty milling machine and a bench lathe. And of course, a lot of imagination, perseverance, and patience. His production is small, so if you do reach out to him, please be patient, understanding, and kind. He told me that he produced a total of only 4 watches last year in 2025, and for this year, 2026, he's on track to deliver 5 or 6 watches. So, not a lot. When I ordered the watch, I knew the production was exclusive, but not this exclusive. And after talking with him and hearing his answers for this video, I appreciate him, his craftsmanship, and his dedication even more. He mentioned that he feels honored, but that it also feels strange and wonderful that his watches, made in a small town in Japan, are being worn in distant countries all across the world. What started off as a conversation between 2 strangers online ended up in a new watch and a friendship being formed. Thank you, Mr. Kumada. Arigato gozaimasu. I hope to meet you in person one day. And thank you, everybody, for watching.